Good evening and welcome to another episode of NFL Pick'em brought to you by the Up and Running Pod. Find us on X at the Up and Running Pod. Find myself at Bama Turk 46. We're going to jump right in. Hope your stomachs are full from Thanksgiving. Everybody had a good holiday, safe travels. My moronic rear end went up to Potomac Mills in Northern Virginia. It wasn't that bad, but we stayed in the mall for 7 hours to buy like 6 things. Ridiculous. Stores that were full, North Face, Nike. Everything else pretty much empty. Lines to check out were a little long in Under Armour, so we took a break from that. But moving right along, this week, you've got a great Thursday night matchup. Hope everybody's ready for it. But as I said before, we're going to start with last week's Thursday's game. Starting at noon, you had Detroit in Chicago. The 4-7 Chicago Bears have had some bad losses. You've got the Hail Mary against the Redskins. You've got losses that Caleb Williams has given away with interceptions. And this week would be no different. The biggest debacle in sports history when it comes to a team that needs to win, when it comes to a team that you really don't have much of a leash for in the coaching staff, boom, what happens? You get down, 33 seconds left on the clock. Don't call a timeout. Go home with 2 timeouts. End up losing the game by a couple of points, allowing Detroit to win by 3, 23-20 in Detroit. Absolute just debacle by Coach Eberflus. And a lot of people want to put the blame on Caleb Williams. Let me explain something to you. Caleb Williams isn't smart enough at this time after 12 games in the NFL to figure this out. Not that he's not smart enough over time. He just has to know this can't happen again. He's got to pay attention. You have to do things. You can't just let time run off the clock like that. You can't allow this to happen when you have a shot. If nothing else, have a shot. He didn't have one, gave it away. Great game for a game that should have been blown out of proportion, blown away. Chicago held in there, came back in the second half, 3 touchdowns, and ends up coming away with a loss. But Caleb Williams, just big debacle. But the biggest debacle is Eberflus. Look, man, sorry about your job, but you're a moron. You don't know how to head coach football, and it's been proven this season. We move on to the second game. The 4:00 game. By the way, I picked Detroit. They won. That's one in the win column, as we had quite a few wins this past week. Dallas versus the New York Football Giants. Dallas comes away with a huge win as they, according to Micah Parsons, are moving on to making the playoffs, which means they must go at least 4-1, possibly 5-0 to make the playoffs. But they beat an abysmal Giants team. The Giants are just horrible. 27-20 Dallas in Dallas. And then we go to the Thursday night football game, the one that I was really excited about, the one that I really thought Miami was going to break through the frozen tundra, really show what they were going to do, how good they were going to be, just make a lot of things great, and then laid an egg. They lost 30-17 with a garbage time touchdown to the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay in the cold weather. Guess what? The guys in Miami are soft. They're cold. They don't want to play. Much has been said about this week as we look at Vic Fangio and what he's done in Philadelphia. It's really sad because last week I was hyped. Couple wins in a row. Tua's leading us back. Tyreek, Waddle, Chain. We got it all going on. And boom, done. Game over. Season's over. Just look to next year. Lose the rest of them. Get a better draft pick. Because right now, the bad teams have 3 wins. Might get a top 10 draft pick. Lose the rest. Stop playing around. We don't need to win. Please don't go win any games this weekend. You will. You will. Y'all wait. We're coming. Oh, so Thursday night didn't end the way we wanted to. And then we moved to Friday night football. Friday night football is a favorite pastime of mine. I love some high school football. This is good high school football. Not some of the stuff that's played in my area, but good high school football. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders. You're getting ready to see why the Chiefs win games. And it has a lot to do with the color that the Raiders wear, black and white. Because they're given everything on the planet when it comes to the referees. Now, I don't really mean that. Trust me, Patrick Mahomes does a lot of things, but they are getting a lot more grace than a lot of teams get. And it's getting ridiculous. But the Raiders had a chance to win, didn't pull it out. more mistakes, bad snap, just a difficult time for them. And I really feel for them. I don't think Pierce is a bad coach. I just think he's got a bad team. He's got a bad team. He's got a bad owner. Al Davis ain't there anymore. His son's horrible. Kansas City comes with a win 19-17. It would have been something if the Raiders had beat them. But Friday Night Lights, baby. Friday Night Lights. It was a good game. It was nice to have football on a Friday night that you could watch and pay attention to. Then we moved to Sunday because nobody's crapping on the last weekend of college football. And we start out with a game that really is tough to watch. By the way, right now I am 3-1. Indianapolis at New England. Indianapolis comes away with a win 25-24. I had New England, thought they'd get it done. I'll tell you something, not a bad team for what they were in the beginning of the season. A lot better than the Mac Jones team. So we're going to see what's going on there. Indianapolis is 8-3. They're taking care of it, or excuse me, they're 5-7. So, New England came away, not a great win. I mean, not a great loss, but still had a chance to win there in the end. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Listen, I'm extremely sorry for Joe Burrow. I know he's an LSU guy. I know I shouldn't root for him because, Roll Tide. But my man is tearing up the football field this year. And his defense is letting the other team tear it up. I think this is the third game they scored more than 35 points and lost. Almost lost by 10. But Pittsburgh is just, wow. You can't find any other value in a coach more than Mike Tomlin. He has taken a team that I thought might get 6 wins this year, and he's already at 9 wins. Already at 9 wins. Absolutely amazing. Mike Tomlin, just Pat McAfee, clap it up for him. Doing the Pat McAfee clap here because that is amazing what he's done with that team. 9-3. They beat Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's got a tough go of it. If I was them, I'd do the same thing Miami does. Lose the rest. Don't win. Get you a good draft pick. Get you somebody else in there. Find out what you need. Miami needs coach. I don't know if Roger Goodell has a coat draft. Like, we can draft, get some coach or some warmer weather, cold weather gear. That's what we really need. Under Armour needs to bring back the cold weather gear. We don't have that anymore. But Cincinnati comes with the loss. Pittsburgh, 44. Cincinnati, 38. I picked Cincinnati thinking they would come away. Another loss for me. Boo-hoo. But we move on. The Chargers travel to Atlanta to face the horrible Falcons. And I took the Chargers here. I mean, they're not going to lose to the Falcons. Kirk Cousins has been terrible the last few weeks. They're 7-4. They moved to 8-4. Atlanta moves to 6-6. 17-13. Not really a great offensive game, but the Chargers don't really do offense. They're not trying to score 1,000 points. They're trying to run the football and run the clock out. They have scored points, don't get me wrong, but if Jim Harbaugh wants to be tough, he wants to beat you up physically, as stated by this past weekend's Ohio State-Michigan game when he passed that on to Moore, and Moore did the same thing against Ohio State, and Ohio State just isn't that. They need to learn to pass the ball, score touchdowns. That's what they're good at. We won't go there, although we just did. Jim Harbaugh comes with win 17-13 over Atlanta. Move to the Jets. They are so bad. Aaron Rodgers needs to retire. You know what he needs to do? Let me tell you something. He needs to do this. Go play golf, bruh. You are not a good quarterback anymore. Your team is falling apart. You've thrown the ball to Garrett Wilson a lot. He's caught one pass over 10-plus yards. Your defense is obviously struggling. Retire, bro. Go live in a cave. Go sleep in a cave with a candle and some lettuce wraps or whatever you do, bro. But this ain't it. You have ruined Devontae Adams' career. You have ruined the Jets' next 3, 4, 5 seasons. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely embarrassed for you. I've never liked you as a player. I don't really know you as a person, so I can't say that. But you're horrible, bro. Horrible. All that talent in Green Bay couldn't get it done. All that talent in New York can't get it done. And I know you're just one player, but you suck. You've had times to win, and you lose. Seattle comes back and wins 26-21 over the Jets at home. Jets, you suck. I'm telling you, y'all are awful. Aaron is done. He won't come back. I mean, the question that he is even thinking about coming back, what are we talking about here? You're terrible. The whole team is terrible. It's run by a bunch of idiots. The only thing that saves your butt is that the team across the water is even worse. The Giants are worse than y'all are. And that's something to be said because they're 2-10 and you're 3-9. One win, one game. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Houston goes to Jacksonville. Listen, the big talk of this game is this. A player came in and hit Trevor Lawrence late. Not really late, but on a slide, it was kind of late. Listen, I've watched the video a few times. It was a violent hit. That's what you want to avoid in the NFL. At the same time, there are arguments on both sides, blah, blah, blah. The guy apologized, thought it was heartfelt. The NFL held up a suspension, blah, blah, whatever. Houston comes with win 23-20. This stuff is going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen if you have guys like Patrick Mahomes who fake going out of bounds, who fake slide, who do things to get the defense to back off and grab a couple of extra yards. Why? Because these guys are playing for paychecks, and they're playing for championships. So at the end of the day, if you tell me that I'm going to get suspended for 3 games, but yet a team's going to look at me a la Mike Tomlin, a physical guy like Jim Harbaugh, or teams that play nasty defense, John Harbaugh in Baltimore, which he needs some help, probably needs to get this guy, that I lay up and let somebody get an extra 10 yards. No, I'm going to lay you out. There is no rhyme or reason to this. But I'm going to tell you right now, Jacksonville is awful. They won't get better with Mac Jones at quarterback. Houston comes with a big win. The thing is I remember this years ago. They always talk about the sophomore slump. Guess who's going through it now? Even at 8-5, C.J. Stroud is struggling. He's going to grab 2 more wins because they don't play anybody in their division. Their division is awful. Tennessee, Jacksonville, absolutely terrible. The Indianapolis Colts are a threat, but really they're not really a threat. Houston is a lot better than them up and down the board. But C.J. Stroud is struggling, not scoring the points, not putting up the yards he did last year. Hopefully he gets that back to going. Wow. Just absolute dreadful game to watch if you had to watch that. Moving on, Minnesota brings Arizona in just to let them think they can get another win. Arizona falters, Minnesota wins. Sam Darnold leading the Minnesota Vikings to a 10-2 record over the Arizona Cardinals. Let me tell you, that is important to understand how bad the Jets are letting this guy go. And he's tearing it up in Minnesota right now with the Purple People Eaters. That is pretty good for them. Close game. Tennessee at Washington. Did Washington offense show up? No. Did Tennessee's defense die? Yes. They went to the barn and got beat pretty bad behind the woodshed. Tennessee should have a bounce back week this week, but we will see. 42-19. That is a blowout. Moves Washington to 8-5. What a record. What a turnaround. But prediction right now, bold prediction right now, we're going to give it to you. Jaden Daniels is going to be the C.J. Stroud of 2025. He's going to have the sophomore slump. He's going to slow down. Partially because Cliff Kingsbury is going to get another head coaching job. Do I think he should take it? No, but who's going to turn down that kind of money when you're only making offensive coordinator kind of money? We will see. Moving on, Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina's turned it around. Bryce Young has been given a shot. And I'll tell you something, 26-23 Tampa Bay. But Carolina's been in games. They almost beat the Chiefs. They almost beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've got stuff going on. They can get done. If you're an Alabama fan, you enjoy this because the rest of our quarterbacks, besides Jalen Hurts, have really flunked. So, hey, Bryce Young, keep it going. Carolina comes with a close win. Good for them. Not rooting for them because they're a bunch of idiots, but I am rooting for Bryce Young. So, moving on, we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Los Angeles Rams in New Orleans. Well, the Rams are terrible. The Saints are even worse, but the Rams only scored 21 points with the better offense. Can't get anything done. 21-14 Los Angeles Rams. And then what I said would be the game of the week. Let me tell you something. Game of the week, it was close, but was it closer than what the score was? It was close all the way throughout. Baltimore had a chance to win the game. The big thing here that I wanted to talk about was Justin Tucker. Man, dude, you can't find a kicker now, but he is horrible this season. He's struggling. They've lost games because of him. There's no doubt. Baltimore's not going to get the 1 seed. They might not even win their division, but they're going to be in the playoffs. They're too good not to. Let's hope they get some things figured out. Play some really great ball. Would really love to see Derrick Henry play in the Super Bowl. See what he can get done. Philadelphia comes away with the win, 24-19. Jalen Hurts is figuring things out. That offense is moving around. The defense is top 3 in the league, I'm pretty sure. Look, I'm telling you right now, if you pay attention, all right, if you watch football week in and week out, you understand that the NFC North is the best division in football. And my Detroit Lions, they're not mine, but I root for them because I like some Dan Campbell. Detroit Lions are going to make the NFC Championship game. There's just no way around that. They're not going to face anybody that's going to beat them. There's not going to face anybody that can run like they can, that can throw if they need to, that can play defense the way they can. And if they get healthy on the defense, they're going to be unstoppable. But here's the thing. Are they going to face the Philadelphia Eagles of now, or are they going to face the Philadelphia Eagles of the first 8 weeks? Because if they face Philadelphia Eagles of the first 8 weeks, even though they're 9-2 or 10-2 now, okay, they weren't great the first 8 weeks. They were the Kansas City Chiefs. But here's the thing. I want you to remind something. Philadelphia can get it done just like Detroit can when they're healthy and good. This could be the best NFC Championship game we've seen in years. Listen, everybody wants to crown the Kansas City Chiefs the AFC champion right now. I'll tell you something, Buffalo looks like they are ready to rock. Now, that's going to come down to Kansas City getting one more loss. Buffalo owns the head-to-head tiebreaker on the number one seed. So if Kansas City gets another loss, you don't want to have to go into Buffalo in a playoff game for the AFC Championship to face them. That's if Baltimore doesn't climb back in this thing. They won't get home field advantage, but they could beat Kansas City and then go face Buffalo. We will see. But right now, just because we talked about Baltimore and Philadelphia, I want to give you my Super Bowl picks again. It is still Detroit and Baltimore. But the NFC Championship game will be between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions, and the AFC Championship game will be between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, unless they're on the same side of the bracket, and then which it'll be the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs, unless they and which are on the same side of the bracket, and then I don't know what's going to happen because I don't know how this is going to work out. The next game involves the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in a snowy game, a lot of snow, 35-10 over the San Francisco 49ers, who at this point in the season should also, like Cincinnati, like Miami, lose every game, get somebody else. You're going to need a running back because your guy is out all the time. Injured. Great running back. Not the Mike Trout of football, but close. Very close. Moving to Monday Night Football, you've got Cleveland at Denver. Woo! Cleveland at Denver. All right? Let me tell you how exciting Cleveland at Denver was, okay? The score of the game was 41 for the Broncos and 32 for the Cleveland Browns. In the first quarter, 7-7. In the second quarter, 17-21. In the third quarter, 25-35. In the fourth quarter, 32-20 or what did I say? 24-31, 32-34. And then Jameis does the unthinkable and throws a pick six, making it 41-32. It was a shootout, folks. And if you watch the game, listen, Jameis Winston did a lot of bad things at Florida State. Okay? He stole some lobsters. He said some things he might not should have said, and that's fine. But guess what? This is America built on second chances. Just elected a president for the second time, giving him a second chance. We're giving everybody second chances, just passing them out like dollar bills. Guess what? Jameis Winston, a la in golf, Bryson DeChambeau, not that he did a bunch of bad stuff, but wasn't a fan. Amazing. If you listen to his pressers, if you listen to his comments during and after the game, he's just an all-around good dude trying to play football, realizing that he's not what he was supposed to be when he came out of college, and absolutely killing it as a fun backup to have. He's never going to win you a Super Bowl, but I'll tell you what he does win. He wins the hearts of your fan base. He is fun to be around. He is fun to listen to when he tries to get the team hyped up. His things, I'm telling you, man, I'd run through a brick wall for that guy. Okay? He is amazing. A lot of fun. Love it. Tough to see him lose. Cleveland's having a tough season there. Got Nick Chubb a touchdown. Just an absolute awesome game to watch. I know Brueggemann loves him some Cleveland Browns, and they struggled, but you had to enjoy watching that for a team that's paid one guy way too much who is awful, a horrendous human being. And you got this guy who's a fun-loving dude who just loves to play the game and love to have fun. Got to play in the snow against Pittsburgh and beat them. And if you heard that interview, know that he had a great time. I get kind of chills talking about it. It's fun to watch him have fun and enjoy the game because that's what football is all about. A lot of negative on Sunday with the hit to Trevor Lawrence. A lot of talk about that, but we don't talk about the good stuff enough. And quite frankly, Jameis Winston is a bright spot in the Cleveland Browns organization, which is horrible. Horrible. And hopefully they get it going. And hopefully he becomes a better quarterback. But, when your touchdowns are matching your interceptions for the other team, that's pretty bad considering they scored twice on pick sixes. So anyway, we're done with last week. 13-3. Another stellar showing, but not great. I believe somebody went undefeated in the pool. So as we move forward to week 14, you have buys for 16. This is the week that I don't play fantasy, but I hear that fantasy football players hate it because it's the week before the playoffs. And guess what? You've got 6 teams. Broncos with a win last week. Colts with a win last week. The Patriots with a loss last week. They need a break. Washington with a win last week. A lot of injuries, need a break. The Ravens with a loss, need to get everything going again. Texans with a win. All on buys. All have great players you want to see, maybe exception of the Patriots and the Colts. But the Texans, the Ravens, the Commanders, and the Broncos all have players that you might have on your team. Guess what? They done for this week. So do you hold on to them and hope you make the playoffs? Or if you're already in, can you hold on to them and wait for them next week? We will see. But moving forward to the Thursday night showdown I've been waiting for all week. Who's not excited about this? You've got a team that lost the one game this season. You've got a team that's got 3 losses this season. You've got 2 teams that are in the same division in the NFC North. You've got an unbelievable quarterback matchup here. You've got 2,518 yards versus 2,982 yards, 20 touchdowns to 11 picks, 22 touchdowns to 9 picks. You've got running backs almost at 1,000 yards, and Josh Jacobs for the Green Bay Packers, Jahmyr Gibbs for the Detroit Lions at 973, 10 touchdowns for Gibbs, 8 touchdowns for Jacobs. You are running to the TV to watch this game at 8 o'clock. The last 5 games for the Packers are 4-1. Their only loss was back on November 3rd to the Detroit Lions. The Lions ain't had one. They are undefeated in their last 5 games, with their only loss coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-16. Absolutely a great game tonight. This means everything for the Green Bay Packers. A win here gets Detroit second loss of the season, and then one more, and they'll at least have a tie in the tiebreaker and head-to-heads. Then, like opponents, you'll have to see what happens. But right now, the Green Bay Packers need this more than anything. They need to get a win. It should be a shootout. Detroit's defense is hurting a little bit. They're struggling, but should be the best game of the season between Detroit and Green Bay in the NFC North. A lot for Jordan Love to fight for. A lot for Jared Goff to prove tonight. Now, they're playing in a dome, so you don't have the weather of Green Bay. You don't have any advantage. There's no home field advantage except for the Lions. There is no weather advantage for the Lions. This should be a premier game. The kickers ought to be able to kick. The receivers ought to be able to catch. But let me tell you something. It is a pick'em. You know what a pick'em means? The home team always gets 3 points. Well, Detroit's -3. So basically, it's a pick'em. And I can honestly tell you, at this point right now, I think I'm going with Detroit. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm going with Detroit, but my heart says that Green Bay could get it done. But we're going to pick Detroit. We're going to stay tried and true to Dan Campbell and his army of Lions that are going to come in there and eat the Green Bay Fudge Packers with their cheese heads and their mice hats. That's what we're going to watch tonight. Go Detroit. All right, moving on to Sunday. Let me tell you something. You're going to start with a barn burner of a game Sunday. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tennessee Titans. Titans, not so much. Maybe, Munchkins from Munchkin Land. But the 2-10 Jacksonville Jaguars come up against the 3-9 Tennessee Titans. And Tennessee, they're at home. That's what we are going to do. Marking it right now as we speak. And I'll probably put the buttload of points on Tennessee because we all know that Jacksonville ain't got a quarterback and they ain't got a backup in Mac Jones. Then you have the New York Football Jets suck Jets versus the Miami Dolphins, the powerful and prideful, soft, whiny baby Miami freaking Dolphins who can't play in the cold. Oh, my skin hurts. Guess what? I'm still picking them this week because the Jets are that bad, and Aaron needs to hang it up quick. Let them play another quarterback. We're going with the Dolphins this week and probably going big. They're going to be playing in Miami. They're going to score 14 points more than the Jets, if not 21. We'll see how it all pans out. And then it's a homecoming of sorts. Atlanta travels to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins back to Minnesota where he started for years. Guess what? The Minnesota Vikings are 10-2 with Sam Darnold. The Atlanta Falcons are 6-6 with Kirk Cousins. And I can tell you now, the Minnesota Vikings are going to show up and Kirk Cousins' homecoming is going to be ruined. It's kind of like, you lose the football game by 30 points and then have a homecoming. Who wants to do that? But we're taking the Minnesota Vikings this week, and it's going to be a big one for the Purple People Eaters. The New Orleans Saints travel to the New York Football Giants. Actually, the little men, because they ain't giant anymore. And the New Orleans Saints are probably going to come away with a win because the Giants are bad. We're taking New Orleans with their starting quarterback and Alvin Kamara, and hopefully they get the job done against a terrible, awful franchise in the New York Football Giants. Carolina is going to Philly. Listen, I'm sorry. This is absolutely terrible. This is not something that I want Carolina to go through. Don't care how good Bryce Young is. Philly is getting the job done. They're going to move to 11-2, pretty much seal up the NFC East and be done. Carolina should show a good game, but I'm going to say 28-14, 28-17. Give them a field goal. Yep, 28-17, Carolina losing to Philly. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Does it happen again? Can Jameis Magic show up against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday afternoon? No. Jameis Winston's really good. Jameis Winston is a great quarterback for a lot of fun reasons. Not a great quarterback when it comes to the football reason, though. And Pittsburgh will handle its business handily with Russ Wilson, Danger Russ, and get the job done. Cleveland comes away with a loss here, but close. We're going to keep them close. We're going to say 26-24, Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay is allowing the Raiders to come visit them in Tampa. The 2-10 Raiders will come away with a loss. Tampa Bay will come away with another win, moving to 7-6. They are 2 wins behind, it looks like, the Commanders for the last wild card spot. And quite frankly, I don't think Tampa Bay's catching them. They have a chance to win the division. We'll see. But Tampa needs this win. They've got to play lights out football for the next 5 weeks. We'll see what happens. But we're picking Tampa Bay. Seattle at Arizona. Well, that's a tough game to call because you don't know which Kyler Murray's going to show up. If the Kyler Murray that shows up, it's been playing pretty awful, well, probably not going to win the game. Kyler Murray shows up that's played great, that's beating the Rams, well, he might win the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to split the difference and go Seattle because, well, they're not traveling that far, and Seattle's 7-5. So we're going to take the Seahawks this week, see what they can do. Seahawks, but little points on them, and they're going to still win by 7 points. 3-10, low-scoring game, really good defense. Probably not 3-10, but we're going to go with it this week. Buffalo is traveling to the Rams. Look, let me tell you something. This can be scary, but Buffalo needs to get a little warm. So they're going to go out to L.A., and they're going to beat the crap out the Rams. They're probably going to score 35 points, maybe 42. And the Rams, well, they're going to score 17, and that's going to be it. Buffalo, L.A. Rams, Buffalo up big. Chicago's going to travel to San Francisco and whip the 49ers. Mason, I love you so much, son, but I can't pick your 49ers. They're terrible. We're taking Chicago this week to move to 5-8, and the San Francisco 49ers move to 5-8 themselves. Hopefully they'll do like I said, lose the rest of the games and get a good player because their running back is probably done. Not going to come back the way it was. The Chargers, led by the one and only Jim Harbaugh, are going to travel to Kansas City. Now, I will tell you this: Los Angeles is a lot like Miami, but they're based in San Diego. Really, let's be honest. It was the San Diego Football Chargers, right? And the Chickahominy Chargers. But we're going to go. Los Angeles Chargers are going to come away with a win against the Kansas City Chiefs, putting low points on this game. But I really think it's going to be something like 21-17, maybe 21-20. But the luck's going to run out. Jim Harbaugh knows how to coach in these close games. We're going to take him right there. And then for the game of the week between the two most mediocre teams in all of football, and Dallas is hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. And you're hearing it. That's Hank Williams Jr. Monday Night Football. And Dallas has a home game for what? You mean you didn't want to flex this? This is ridiculous. The Cowboys suck. Nobody wants to watch them play football. Nobody wants to watch anything they do. But then again, the Bengals will show up and score 40,000 points, and the Dallas Cowboys will show 40,001. This should be the game. The total for this game ought to be 1,000. It really should. What the Cowboys did against the Commanders, what the Cincinnati Bengals have done to every team they've played this year and lost, this should be the highest scoring game on the board. Check it out. We're going to take the Bengals in this week. I think they get the job done against Dallas. Should be a high-scoring game. Not great football now. Not great football, but a high-scoring game. It's going one or two ways, folks. It's going to be a tight 80-point game, or Bengals are going to blow them out by like 30. Okay? Dallas either has great offense or no offense. That's the end of the story. So, Cincinnati, Monday Night Football, coming away with the win. I hope everybody's had a great week. I hope everybody's stomachs have digested everything from what you had going on with Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a good week, a good weekend. Remember, check your fantasy. All of these teams are on bye. Hope to see you soon at Bama Turk 46, at Up and Running Pod on X. Check us out on TikTok at Up and Running Pod. We'll see you next time. Peace.